Arcane table, DMU, take 2.
Here we go. Hi everybody, welcome to DMU, Dungeon Master University. We're going to be talking about a couple topics this month. But before that, we'll go around the table and introduce ourselves. We've got some old faces and we've got a new face here today. So Scott, take it away.
I'm Scott. I've been with DMU for over a year now, and I'm as good of a DM as at least one of these people.
Yeah, Bo.
Oh,
Our
hi.
new face?
Yes, hi, I'm Al, go by the name of DM Logan. Thanks for welcoming me to the DMU. Been DM for over 3 years, and I believe I need to learn more about the craft. And that's why I'm here to gain more information, advice, and tips and tricks of the tools for the trade.
This is a game of learning. You know, some of us have been gaming for decades, right? And with new systems coming out and new players at the table and new rule sets, there's always time to learn. There's always something new to learn. Absolutely, yeah. You're in good company. Eric.
Yeah. First off, just want to say welcome, Al.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here. I think you'll be a great addition to this group here. I'm Eric, co-founder with the other Eric. You know who I am.
Caveman Gaming.
I've been on this channel a few times, on this segment every time. Yeah, check me out, Caveman Gaming on YouTube.
Thanks.
Bo.
I'm Bo, not Eric. I've been a DM
So
for...
few people are.
But in between two Erics.
Yes. I've been a DM for about 20 years, been with DMU for a couple of months now. Really enjoying it. Like you said, there's always time to learn more and refine your craft. It's an ever-learning process. So.
Yeah, and then my name is Eric of the Arcane table. I've been DMing for close to 40 years, on and off. I started off with the original Red Box, old. But anyway, this is awesome. I really enjoy our time together here at the table, here at Winston's, where we can sit, have a bite to eat, and talk shop. So let's start in. Number 1 is traps. Traps, do you use them in your game? Number 2, are they effective? And number 3, trap mechanics. Who wants to lead? And does anybody use traps?
Yeah.
Often.
Okay, take it away, Eric.
Cool. I've brought all 3 of my books here about traps, just because this one is great. It's specifically about traps and puzzles.
I actually just did a review on my channel for that
For
book.
this one?
That very same book, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just love the resources. I even brought Tales of the Valiant because they have a whole section on not just traps but other hazards and environmental effects, and they have actually so much more than I expected, even compared to your regular Dungeon Master's Guide from 5.5. Definitely worth looking into if you're looking for different traps and different ways to run them.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Traps? Bo?
I have found in most of my games, I have gotten away from traps just as an everyday obstacle. Every door has a poison needle in it. And getting into more, when I do throw a trap in there, it's more of a big challenge, plot device. The room's going to fill with acid, how do you get out?
Mm-hmm.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
The days of a 10-foot pole searching for pit traps in front of you, I kind of just have that at this point.
And who wants to do that? That's such a slog.
Exactly.
Yeah. Is that really what passive perception's for? And then just investigation checks and stuff like that? Let the rogue go first and have them, scope out for traps? Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
Anybody else? Traps? Scott? Al?
Yep.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, for traps, I've used them a couple in my games because for me as a DM, I want to give something to my players, like if they want to loot or search the dungeon, but I don't want to give them easily, or I want to challenge them, because I think there's satisfaction when you challenge a character and they survive it, because they built their character for it. Or if I just wanna, put them in a little bit of sense of danger, so that they can use their resources later in the game. So I think that's my mindset to use traps. such as a chest. When you can't open it, it emits a poisonous gas. Door trap doors on the floors, just to make them survive it through dexterity checks. So yeah, I wanna use traps to challenge players and just to make them feel heroic if they survive it.
Cool.
I think you touched on a really important point of traps, that the reason I use them is it makes them use their resources.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to do, is trying to get them to use those resources so they have less when they get to the end of that dungeon and are faced with, okay, now that I'm this low on resources, how am I going to defeat the big bad or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, like 4 of them are affected by that poisonous gas. Well, okay, where's the cleric? Okay, cleric get healing, using up those spell slots, and now when you get to the big baddie, that cleric doesn't have all that healing. So it's like, is the hit points that important at the beginning of the dungeon, or are they more important at the end of the dungeon?
You give them the spotlight to use their features, as well as you give them a chance to think outside the box. Like,
Yeah.
How do we survive this?
Scott?
Pile of gold, 37-foot chute of magical lubricant, sentient acid at the bottom. That equals Deckler. No.
It does.
No, I think the traps that mean the most to me are not the one. Like, yes, we want to use resources, and everyone 100% right about that. I like the ones that have an ongoing consequence. So for the next day you're rolling on the wild magic table, or you're running with a limp, so maybe you get 5 feet less of damage for the next. Like that kind of creates just a little bit of extra drama too, and yeah.
That ties in perfectly with the next thing, is, are they effective? And like, once again, if it's a trap where, you take 1d6 damage, 1d6 damage is no big thing. But if you're slowed, by 5 feet, well then that's
There's
effective.
drama.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and
There's role-play,
there are a place for both, right? You
Yeah.
do need to do some, if you feel like you need to do some damage, because you've got Paladin with lay on hands and he's ready to heal someone for 20 points of damage, then yeah, you got to use up those resources too. But then weave in something that has some drama to it. Maybe the guy his left eye is blinded for a day or something, and now he's got some disadvantage to attacks or something like that. That's that could be it creates drama points, right? So
Has anybody else used something like this to kind of disable their players short term or long term?
Yes, but in a different game system.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's hear it.
I was playing, it was actually just last week on Monday, I was playing Mothership, which is a sci-fi space horror game, and it is extremely deadly. It is very unforgiving to the players. And they were about to go into this room in zero gravity where a bunch of toxic ooze had gotten released, so there's little droplets of fluorescent orange liquid floating through the air. And if any of them had touched it without wearing a hazmat suit, they'd have to roll a d5, which is a weird dice, but that's part of that game mechanic, and they would start dying within that many hours.
Oh, wow. Really? Wow.
No save. It's
that's rough.
Kind of reminds me of Alien Romulus. We're in the hallway and they shoot all the alien xenomorphs, and there's acid and it's 0G. They're pretty much having to float through. And then, spoiler alert, the acid's about to hit the girl, and she takes her gun and she shoots the ceiling, and of course it propels her downwards. So she's usually using her gun almost like a rocket pack, to kind of maneuver her way through this acid. Very cool. So, who died?
They got smart about it. Just before entering the room, they could see these particles floating. They're like, let's not. Let's turn around and find another route.
Yeah.
So
Common sense in players.
Yeah.
And that's the other side of this coin, right? Is there should be some counterplay for them to avoid it at all times, right?
Yeah.
You put the shiny thing in front of them, and they don't have to touch it. There's counterplay there. Look, there's a vein of arcane crystal. I might want to mine it, but do I want to look into it a little bit further and give them some rolls? Traps shouldn't be punishing, and I know no one at this table does that, but for the people that are watching, traps shouldn't shouldn't exist to punish your players.
I've had a total party kill, not with me as the DM, but as a player, where we got stuck in a trap, and the DM was just vicious with it, and a party of 6, and we couldn't get out of it, and it was just done. And these were like level 7, 8 characters, and everything we tried, it just the rolls were against us, and the trap was against us, and it was very underwhelming. Because we're halfway through the dungeon, and here we are on adventure. We're on our way, and then just our corpses were just left in the bottom of a pit, who knows where. And it was memorable. I still remember it today, but for perhaps the wrong reasons.
Yeah. You get the feel bads with that. It's like you've put this effort into a character, and we all died to a pit trap.
Yeah. Actually, I have a story. One of my players, Trevor, he in a long campaign back in the day, his character actually lost an arm to a trap. Like, there was so much damage, and he literally got stuck in this twirling kind of chain. Think of like the Gravitron, the exhibition with chains on it. And he got stuck in it, and he kept on taking damage every round on his arm, and the damage was so intense that literally the group had to amputate his arm to remove it, because they just could not heal that kind of damage. And so for the next several months, Goob, that's Trevor's character, played without an arm. And it was really cool because it changed the mechanics of the character. And then plus Trevor role-played it. He played the entire 3 months without his arm, with his one arm behind his back.
Oh.
So he literally, rolling dice, like if he wanted to grab something, he could only grab with his right hand. His left arm was gone.
Offhand.
Yeah, but it's like, once again, you can turn those moments into memorable role playing.
And I also agree with giving it sense of drama, because I remember in one of my games, we had a bard who was really used to giving bardic inspiration, guidance, and aid. So when they went into a cult lair, unfortunately, he set a trap that I made to stun him. So he was stunned, and they had to go to the final boss. So the drama there was every start of the round, I had him roll wisdom save, so to survive that, but he failed. So I said, "Oh man, this is just what I'm expecting, like to create the drama." So all the party members was just shouting at him. His character's name was Emmy, like, "Emmy, you can do it, you can do it." So it was creating that drama. And then when the next round comes, wisdom save failed. We were like, "Oh man,"
Yeah.
we were doing. It creates a drama. But finally, he was able to survive it. They were able to win the game. But yeah, traps create the drama. Gives them a chance to role play as well.
Absolutely, yeah, no, that's important, to give them life, by allowing the players to kind of, work their way through it, and to encourage each other to not die. Yeah, sounds good. Trap mechanics. Does anybody have like a trap that they've actually used, and how it worked or how it didn't work? Because we have these things in our mind, like, okay, this is cool. I'm going to put a barrel at the top of the stairs, and as soon as they open the door, this explosive barrel is going to start rolling down. Well, there's no momentum at the top of the stairs, and so all they do is they put their hand against the barrel before it falls down, and they foil the trap. Okay, how can I make that trap better? So are there any, times where you have done a trap that it's been successful, or that it's kind of fallen flat?
Last night in my home game, the players are going through the Underdark, and I did have something that I alluded to a few seconds ago, just a vein of arcane crystals that looked very interesting, and that they chose to try and get a sample of it, which resulted in, again, that day-long wild magic surge table rolling on any time they're casting a couple of people are casting a spell. So yeah,
cool.
And yeah, there's direct action, which leads to direct consequence. That's more of an environmental trap, right? It's not something someone specifically set up. It's just part of the flora and fauna of the Underdark.
Pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
If you want that arcane crystal, by all means take it. But yeah, absolutely. I was talking about that stair trap. So I did that the first time, and once again, there was no momentum, for the barrel, so they just put their hand up against it and they stopped it. So the next time I ran it, I just had those first 6 or 7 stairs fold, You know, and so anybody was almost first 6, 7 stairs. Okay, who's taking the lead? Who's at the front of the stairwell? Okay, the fighter, and then of course the rogue. The two of you make your dex checks at high DC. You both fail. You start sliding backwards. Then this barrel is rolling because it's, the stairwell is now like that, and so that made that trap a heck of a lot more effective.
Well, and right, like in your discussion there, there's there's action, there's consequence, there's chance for counterplay, which is important, and then there's consequence for failure.
Yeah.
As per the dice, all the hallmarks of a great trap.
Absolutely cool. Yeah. Guys, anytime you use a trap, worked, failed, boom.
I don't know if you'd count it as a trap. One of my groups is running through Dead and Thay, and there's one section where there is a maze that has reverse gravity in it, so once you start stepping out of a certain area, it slings you up to the ceiling, and then that teleports you to a random other part of the maze.
Split the party, great.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much a maze, it's more like a grid, so they can pretty much see where everything is, but it's just like, oh, you're in a random spot and you gotta figure out how to move around, and the answer is you've gotta, like, walk on the walls.
Fair enough.
And they're high enough, they've got spider climb and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, like, I like stuff like that, as opposed to, the other thing Dead and Thay has is when you look at the map, there are like a million little X's in all the hallways.
Yeah.
And because it's pit traps, and they are literally, it expects you them to search every 10 feet, try to find the pit traps, or they fall, and then take, I think it's like 3d6 damage, and it's like, these are 12th level characters.
Yeah.
We don't need to bother with that.
And it gets to a point where, like, that's just it. If they know there's all these traps, they can just fly through it, or hover through it, or, like you said, walk on the walls, stuff like that. And it gets to a point where, unless the traps are complicated, some of these more simple, mundane traps, like, spiky footsteps, they're just not going to work.
To me, it gets very much in the realm of, okay, are pit traps fun? No. Is this maze fun? Yeah. So, go with that.
Sounds good. Closing thoughts? We're all good? Traps? Yes or no?
Yes.
I like
Double thumbs up on
I think so too. Something I could spend a little more time in my games as well. So number 2 is a role play, R-O-L-E play, versus role play, R-O-L play. Number 1, when is it appropriate? Number 2, are the dice really that important? And number 3, encouraging player interaction. So role versus role play, when is it appropriate?
I think you presented this question in the chat based on a video you watched, right?
Yes, GDD, can I say the channel?
Of course you can.
Okay. Yeah, GDD discussed that part, and I think we also experienced that too. So I think it's a good discussion. Like, when do you, like, is it really stopping the immersion when you ask the player to, okay, roll, you're trying to persuade the NPC, okay, roll. Does it stop the immersion, or you just let the player express it, and you as a DM, you just kind of absorb what the player is just trying to say, then move the story forward. So that's where I think that topic is trying to get into. So I'd share or
absolutely.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I think I played in I mentioned in the Discord, I played in a very heavy story roleplay based game before, and I kind of liked it. I don't hate it, but I kind of liked it because there was pressure on my end to really roleplay.
Yes.
How to push the story forward and how to get to the story, but. There was a disappointment a little bit because I built my character for it, and I was waiting for me to roll dice for it. So that's where the part I don't like. But the thing about like role play that I like best is when I played Call of Cthulhu. I think you know Call of Cthulhu because
absolutely. Yeah.
Bruce,
one of our members of DMU, he does Call of Cthulhu all the time.
I really love Call of Cthulhu when it comes to role play because there you can socialize, make the story forward, and then just roll things, make things happen. So for me personally, as a DM, I'd go for role play, like ROLLPLAY, because if that's how your character, you built that character with that enough charisma. You want to play that out. Okay, let's play that out.
So who prefers roll, R-O-L-L, and who prefers R-O-L-E? Who prefers roll, R-O-L-L? Yeah, raise your hands.
Can we real quick, just to differentiate roll from roll, say dice versus acting?
There we go, perfect.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
easy.
yeah.
Who prefers dice versus acting? Thank you, Eric. That's great. Yeah. So dice? Who's a crunchy? Who likes rolling them dice?
Healthy, balanceable.
Yeah. That's where I am. It's finding the balance, because if you got a high charisma character or a high intelligence character, and they're not that charismatic in person,
Yes.
you can't expect them. You can't punish them for something they're not good at anyway.
And that's knowing your audience.
But at the same time, if a player role plays something really, really effectively,
Don't punish them for not rolling.
like a lot of times I'll adjust DCs on the fly,
Yeah.
or
Or
hey,
roll
roll that
them
with
with
advantage.
advantage.
Yeah, give them advantage. Yeah.
You know.
And that's just it. Something like for a barbarian, talking his way, through the political party might not be the best. So even though like I give a big speech, okay, great, add a +5 to your roll, right? Because you're inspiring. But like that bard who's going to be talking his way through that political intrigue and stuff like that, trying to get through the door, yeah, awesome. Just roll an advantage, or roll and just set that DC at maybe 10 rather than 15, right? Giving the bard that much more of an easier chance to after they've talked their way through it, or even just simply, can I just simply roll? Great, and then just adjust the DC accordingly.
Yeah.
Perfect. So are the dice that important? Like if somebody is having a moment and they're really into it, and you can feel like those creative juices through acting, come through, is a roll necessary?
You gotta
depends.
play it by
Yeah.
ear.
Yeah.
No, very much play it by ear. There's times when I've had players give a rousing speech, and it's just like, I won't give them an automatic success, but I'll lower the DC so much they might as well not even have to roll.
Yep.
By the same token, if they role play it and they do it the absolute wrong way, the barbarian trying to perform a diplomatic mission, it's you can be eloquent, but it's really not your character. So
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, there's balance.
Anybody else? Once again, I'm heavy on role playing or acting, and once again, I've even with strangers in a one shot, if somebody is into it and they really inspire me, or if they can see that inspiration at the table, for the most part, I just give it to them, or else roll your dice, and then I'll set the DC extremely low. Like there's always that chance of failure, right? On that one. Well, unfortunately, everybody was inspired by your speech, but you just didn't quite hit with the NPC, right? Roll for initiative. But something like that. If somebody is really into it and you can see it's important to them, I usually just give it. But it's yes, but.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Perfect. And then encouraging player interaction. We're talking about, once again, dice versus acting. Some people are really comfortable in front of the camera, or some people are really comfortable speaking. Other people, they're in their shell and they're just there to roll dice. So is there a way to encourage those dice rollers to be a little more active, a little more vocal at the table?
I'd like to get some advice from that too.
Yeah, cool.
Pair them with good actors sometimes can really help. When you've got someone at your table that excels at role playing.
Yeah.
If you have time to sit, pull them aside and say, hey, Bob here, kind of like no one's going to force him to be the expert role player, but if your character can kind of engage with him at times, you might be able to pull him out of his shell a little bit.
Very cool idea. Yeah.
Type of thing. So.
Sorry. I use a lot of props in my games. When someone goes to make a persuasion roll, and what does Vantos the Bard say to do this? And the other thing that I tend to use a lot, I found this mechanic called role play for rest.
Oh yeah.
So when my characters take a short or long rest, a lot of times I'll just pick two of them at random, give them a prompt, talk about, your tragic backstory, because
Yeah.
they all have one.
I call those campfire stories.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Long form games, I like to use the rule of, do you like to eat onions or not? You might not like to eat onions when you're 5, but you might start developing an affinity for them when you're 7. So the beginning of the game, your weak role player might not be so great at it, but maybe between then and now they've watched a little bit of Critical Role, or they've watched some improv stuff, and they're starting to get into it. So just because Bob isn't good at it now, check in with Bob everyone. Hey Bob, now your player is interacting with, and see how they do. Don't force, but always invite that opportunity.
Yeah. Communication, absolutely. If you can see somebody is struggling, with acting or being vocal, don't force them. You can still shine the spotlight on that person through dice rolls, right?
Yep.
Or like, that was an awesome job there, Al. Great, I really loved what your character did there, even though it was just simply I go to the door and open it and I peek inside. Wonderful role playing. Keep at it. Just really, more. That's awesome. Just encourage them. But don't force somebody into that position, because that's when they're going to shut down. But yeah, just communicate. Afterwards, hey Al, what did you think of today? Yeah, really enjoyed it. That whole door opening thing was really cool. Okay, cool. How can we increase that in the future, right? And then that way, okay, well, let me work into my own, or yeah, now I can start working my backstory into a little bit. Then okay, let's talk about next session. What do you want to talk about? Well, I want to talk about my sister that's missing. Okay, great. I'm going to take the spotlight and I'm going to shine it on you for 5 minutes where you can just talk. And I'll communicate with everybody at the table at the beginning of the game that Al's character and the DM is going to have a moment. So everybody, please be patient. Please just be listening, because he's going to be sharing something important about his character. And that way, we don't have to worry about people looking at their phones or interrupting. I just simply say, okay, we're at the the watering hole or whatever it be. Everybody's sitting around the table, and your sister comes up, and that way we can simply talk about your sister. And then I'll prompt Scott. It's like, okay, aren't you having an issue with a missing family member as well? And then because Scott's a stronger role player, you guys can start talking. Yeah, you betcha.
For sure.
Excellent tip. Thanks.
Cool. Excellent. That was that. Yeah, I think it ultimately just comes down to supporting your players. Everybody likes rolling dice, because it is D&D, but also, that aspect of acting or, that improv is important. Like, isn't the 3 pillars of D&D combat, exploration, and role-playing, right? Number 3.
Do you want to give?
Yes.
Al
And thank you for the
absolutely.
time. Yes, I think I'll be leaving you guys, but it was really nice to meet you.
Yep.
I've learned a lot, and I'm hoping to join the next round table too.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Good to have you, Al.
Yeah,
Thank
awesome.
you, thank you.
One thing I wanted to mention about role playing that I didn't get a chance to jump in there on the second point. I really love dice moments when stakes are super high.
Yeah.
Like everybody knows the box of doom from Dimension 20. Big old box comes out with a camera on it, and he clearly states you have this many stats, you have to beat this mark, and everybody's up looking at this tray to see what rolls, and I just love those moments where everybody's super into it.
And so even that's something that's kind of off topic, is DM rolling in front of or behind the screen. Because once again, there's always that, well, he's just fudging the numbers behind the screen. So, but if you're rolling on the table, and when you said there's that big moment, everybody's down, and it comes down to that last death save or whatever it be, or it comes down to is the creature going to muster the strength to strike, and he's got advantage, and if you roll behind the curtain, that magic is kind of taken away.
Yeah.
So if you just take the DM screen away, which I'll do, because it's clear, and then I'll just roll on the table. And you can, there's that, like you said, that doom box anticipation.
Box of doom.
Yeah. So is that something that you guys do? I guess you guys
try to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I obviously online it's kind of hard to roll in front of everybody, but for my in-person games, I always roll in front of the kids. We always take with the die rolls, mainly because I'm trying to set an example for him.
Yeah, cool.
I get a lot of natural 1. Can I get advantage?
No.
I get it, but I try to keep it the same thing with mine. So I've had monsters, go to make their big attacks, and it's like 1-1-2 on the attack rolls. You deal with it, you move on.
Yeah, those ones are equally as important as the 20.
Exactly.
We were talking about that off camera earlier. Very cool. Number 3, railroading. Leading the group into the story, getting the group on track. And then number 3, railroading versus open world. I think this was your topic there, Eric?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let you take the lead, my friend.
I kind of brought this up because I recently ran a one-shot at my sister's shop. It was a learn-to-play D&D.
Cool.
Where we sold tickets. Sold out. It was great.
Awesome.
It was probably one of the most fun I've had at a singular event, because it was all brand new people who had a little bit of experience watching D&D but had never actually played.
Yeah.
And right away, everybody got so into trying to figure out the story. I was running that mystery adventure, the one I put up on my channel,
Cool.
how
Yep.
I built 4DX,
Yeah.
which was intended to be a 2-hour-long session, but they got so into the role play right off the start, trying to interrogate every NPC, ask everybody every question. They wanted to know every little detail about everything, that I rolled with it for a while, and by an hour and a half, we still hadn't gotten to the dungeon.
Oh.
So I had to start railroading them
Yep.
into, you guys have all the information you need, here's your clues, we need to move on so
Yep.
that we can finish in a normal time.
Yes.
So what was supposed to be a 2-hour one-shot turned into a 4-hour one-shot, which was great. Everybody wanted to be there a little longer, they wanted to play, they wanted to experience it. So it was a lot of fun, but at the same time I felt like I had to start stepping on toes, saying, okay, we got to do this. I'm going to cut out some traps here so that we can get to the big bad fight and wrap this up.
I think you already answered my next question is, how did you deal with that? How did you get things back on track?
I just communicated with the players. We are in a time frame, we have to do this, so here's the information.
Sounds good.
It doesn't feel great doing that. I wanted to sit there for hours and keep role-playing all the information that they were looking for, but it's just not feasible.
And that's just it. Sometimes at an event where you only have 3 hours or 2 hours plus, and you have a break, an hour, and you're looking forward to that break. Yeah. It's hard to say, let's keep on, exploring, when you are on a time crunch. Yeah. And it's a little different between a one shot at a con, opposed to your home game, where the guys are coming back next week anyway. Yeah. Right? So if we take a little extra time at the inn, or we take a little bit extra time, hunting for traps, not a big deal. I can just use that material that I had prepped for today, I can use it next week. But at a con, where it's we got to go hunt for rabbits, and we got to go to the store, and then we have to talk about our big back stories that have nothing to do with what's going on here. Your 2 hours, 3 hours is now 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then how much of your story your one shot are you actually going to get through? Because it's front heavy on stuff that's just not relevant and important for that time.
Yeah, it very much, you very much have to go with it with what you're playing. My home groups, I would say probably once every 4 or 5 sessions, it is absolutely nothing but a role play session, downtime at their bastion or whatever, or, just generally doing crazy stuff that has nothing to do with the plot. But every once in a while you hit something. Eric, you helped me out with that one, where it's hey, I put this plot point in front, they haven't interacted with it well, what do I need to do? And you do have to railroad them a little bit just to get it back on, not so much get it back on the tracks, but get it pointed in roughly the right direction. Yeah. But it works real well, because when I threw it in front of them, they immediately oh yeah, we need to check on that.
Scott, how do you get people back on track?
Sometimes you can roll with the punches and add in, an extra plot point that you didn't plan for in advance that leads in that direction a little bit more forcefully isn't the word, but a little more focusedly.
Yeah, on the fly.
On the fly, right? Someone bursts into the room and says, "Oh, I just saw so and so down the thing, and they were looking for so and so. And they didn't really know how to find him, but maybe previously they were working with a thief catcher or something like that. Hey, we heard you were looking for Steve, the axe maniac, and I just we just saw him over there. But
Yeah, wanted posters on the wall or
Yeah.
whatever, and they say, okay, great, and he's been seen in this area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone at this table are awesome DMs, so you know how to improvise and add that stuff in so that you can maybe, and I've seen Eric and Eric do this at your one shots where you've got that group of kids or people that just aren't getting it, and you after you ask how did your game go, I didn't think people would go in this direction, so I had to add in this NPC. And now it's in my notes as well,
Yeah.
right? So,
And then you just flex what worked, what didn't, adjust, and then put that into play next time. Yeah, and then
no, it's good to have choice though.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that is that your next point?
next one is getting the group on track.
Okay. We were just on that, right?
You betcha, yeah.
How do you do it? So
Yeah.
I mean, learning from the other people at this table, like props. Again, going a lot of digital, but if you have that codex or if you have that plunger, I don't remember why you had a plunger.
Oh, it was a scepter.
It was a scepter.
It was a scepter.
Or if you've
it
got,
was the Frog Lord scepter.
The first year that I ran at PopCon, purely digital, and then suddenly I was like, man, it's nice for how it is, and I can use those things as plot points to focus people. I can make a couple of sheets of tattered looking parchment, and they can read that, and that kind of says, oh hey, there might be a heist occurring, and
Cool.
that's necessary, right?
Communication. If I find my table is off the rails, or if they're going in the wrong direction, I'll quite often, I don't want to, ruin everybody's fun, but okay, it's time to have a bathroom break, and then I'll take Bo aside and say, hey, look, I really need the group to get back on track. I'm going to rely on you. Can I have your character say, hey, we need to, this is great, but we need to get back on track? We've got all of our gear. Yep, we've got all of our bellies are full. We're going to wake up first thing in the morning, and we're going to get on the road. And so we'll tie it up, okay, and then, my Bo's character is tired. Okay, we need to get this going. And then I'll rely on my characters that I trust, or my players that I trust, to kind of railroad the group unknowingly back on track, and then that way, once again, it's just one more thing I can rely on my players for, and you can do it through your character.
Yeah, co-DMs.
Yeah, exactly. And I find quite often, and even with a one shot, I'll just say, hey guys, we've only got an hour left, and we still have a long way to go. That's it. I really enjoy the energy. Let's just fast forward a little bit and get back on track.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then last topic on this one is railroad versus open world. When's the ideal time to do a railroad, or when's the ideal time to do an open world?
I really struggle with open sandbox. Just as an example, because it's on my mind, my Wednesday group is running Princes of the Apocalypse. We're about halfway through. It starts very much as an open sandbox where you can kind of go and explore a whole bunch of different things before it gets into heavy dungeon crawls, and then finally into time constraint. And because it started off so broad, I threw out plot hooks everywhere left and right. Things weren't always connecting, and now we've hit kind of level 9 or 10 and finished up a chapter, so I had to sit down with everybody and explain, here's where we are at the point of the story. Now there is a time constraint.
Yep.
A lot of the plot hooks I threw out there no longer matter.
Yeah.
And so I find I try and always give either too much information or strictly the information they need to keep them railroaded.
Yeah. And see, I find them just the opposite. I thrive in open world or open sandbox. It's all I do. Like literally, I've never run a pre-gen module or book or anything. Never. It's always been ideas in my mind. Playing in my world of Espna. And if I had to go and run somebody else's material right now, I don't know how good it would be. I really don't. I'd probably want to take it and edit it heavily, and then it's really not that person's material anymore. And it's something I'd like to try. Like you guys are talking about Curse of Strahd and what was it, Winter Marsh and stuff like that. Was it that Al was talking about?
West March.
Thank you. My apologies,
Yeah.
West March. I don't even know the name of it.
That's not like a campaign setting. That's just a style of game.
Oh, is it? Okay, cool. Like once again, I don't even know the name of it. And it's because it's just not a part of D&D for me. Yeah. Like I really, I truthfully, I don't even know the gods in the D&D books. I don't. You know, like
none of us do.
I'm just saying, I don't like. I have my own of Pentadox in my world, the 5 servants that all serve the one true God choice, and I know those deities inside and out. And once again, if I had to, if there's a conversation about the deities or the gods of D&D or Forgotten Realms or whatever it be, I just sit and listen because I'm so uneducated on those topics.
No. Like for me, like growing up, I played Forgotten Realms pretty much almost exclusively. And so there's a lot of backstory that I've just internalized. But I find that I tend to keep it like sandboxy, but once you pick a path, it starts getting more and more railroady, mainly because, like you were saying, you hit certain plot points and it's like, okay, well now we're on a time crunch. You know, you've made your choice. The roller coaster has started. You know, you got to enjoy the ride.
Stay on those tracks, otherwise you're going to get hurt.
Yep. Absolutely, yeah. Scott, wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, no DM can provide 18 billion choices in the middle of a 4-hour session. So I think a lot of us try and keep things on the rails in the midst of your session and try to end on a point where there could be some branches, and then you kind of communicate, hey, you guys, you've been told that, you know, the next session I could go in this direction, I could go in that direction, you know, where you lead. Yep. I just did a session last night. I had 2 or 3 ways down into the Underdark. One was with a awesome drill bore 9000 operated by Acquisitions Incorporated. Really wanted it to go in that direction because I had some Drider fun. They were going to co-op the drill. Instead, they went down the path that from Mithril Hall that leads to Blingdenstone, and I'm sad that I'll never. I introduced the drill bore 9000. It was great, but we don't get to see it. And sometimes that's a little bit disappointing for DM when you got a way that they want to go, but you provided them choice. But that's what we do.
Absolutely, yeah. You can always take that material and use it later on in the game.
It sits in a document, and maybe it gets used later in the game. Yep. Maybe you use it in the next one, and you still nothing is ever wasted, right?
So I think ultimately it comes down to that there's pros and cons to both. You know, like railroading, even in an open world, there's still some level of railroading. You just can't get away with it. And like you said, nobody can offer, you know, $18 million choices, you know, in a 4-hour, game. Like it's just not real world. Like, you know, you have to be on board to play the game, and you know, try to give the illusion, you know, that it's open world. But ultimately, it's just a series of railroad streams.
Well, it's like real life. You say there's endless choices, but in reality, you're going to be limited to 2 or 3 or 4.
That's cool, absolutely. And then just finishing things off is Extra Life recap. Scott, let you take the lead on this. So Extra Life is coming up. That's the game day.
Yes.
It's on November 1st and 2nd from 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. both days. Scott's kind of taking the lead this year for the tabletop portion of it. Scott, thoughts?
We'll be running both days. DMU will be have 2 tables each day, not including Bruce, who is our member, but will be representing his own brand at the event. Mm-hmm. Eric will also have a chunk of table to himself, and he'll be running the 24-hour D&D stream, which I'll let you speak to after I'm done my bit.
Cool.
Bo is going to be running both days and doing hopefully a little bit things that focus to some of the champion kids that might show up, which we really appreciate.
Absolutely,
that's super
absolutely,
awesome.
No problem.
And then Eric is going to be running on Sunday. Micah is going to be running on Saturday. And so we're hoping to once again show up and flex our muscles as DM and raise a little bit of money while we're doing it, and show people how to have a good time playing Dungeons and Dragons. So.
Absolutely. Did you guys have an idea as to what you plan on running? You know, is it spoiler alert, or is it like you're not
is
quite
it too
there
new? We're just now getting for sure the details that we know who's running.
I've got a couple things I'm thinking about I had a couple adventures I was looking at using as a baseline, and after talking with Scott, I think I know the direction I want to spin it in. So
Very cool. Yeah.
should be interesting.
Eric?
I just found out today that I'm going to run on Sunday, and the 2 current one-shots I have prepped, probably not the ideal one-shots to be running at this event, so I'm going
Mario
to
Kart.
come up with something.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is for
That
a
is
younger
very
audience
good.
at the Extra Life. You know, opposed to like a popcorn, you know, where it's a little older and a little more. Our audience is geared towards tabletop. You know, we at events like this, we have a pretty good idea what to expect, and so we just got to keep it more PG. You know, and a little less, you know, Lord of the Rings, or a little less Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's give it a try.
Yeah. But yeah, no.
And do you want to tell us about your 24-hour event?
Sure. The 24-hour marathon. It's 12 hours Saturday, 12 hours Sunday. This is the 3rd time I've run it. I've got the team behind me, the same group that I've done for year 1, year 2. This is something I've been prepping for about 6 months now, and you know, crafting and writing and getting everything in place. I'm about 95% there. I've just got to play test a couple of the baddies and review character sheets. And we're doing levels 3 to level 16 in 12 hours. Sorry, 24 hours. And so every time there's a milestone, every time there's an encounter in this game, every time there's a death, they're going to be leveling. And there's going to be a lot of deaths. And it's I'm taking inspiration from 3 different medias this time around, from Shadow of the Colossus, from Mega Man, and from Majora's Mask. You know, and so
Those are very different.
yeah, but I think I've mixed them together into like that perfect, you know, soup.
Mhm, yep.
And so, like I said, I've play tested a good chunk of it already, and with just myself and Keely, my wife, kind of you know, spitballing ideas, and the communication between myself and the 5 players is very open, and so, like I said, I'm like 95% there. Pretty confident it's going to be awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a big commitment. It's a lot of work, and I think for next year I'd like to pass it down to somebody else. So if there's somebody at the table that would enjoy running it or would like to try running it, you know, we can talk about it, and we'll kind of go from there.
Cool.
Perfect. But that's it. It is at the Sutherland Hall, Saskatoon, November 1st, November 2nd, 12 hours one day, 12 hours the next. Come down and have some fun. It's also going to be streamed live on the Arcane Table YouTube channel. So if you can't make it to the event, you know, please take a look-see. There's also fundraising opportunities. There'll be like a menu where you can support the DM with purchases, and you can support the players with purchases. You know, healing potions, weapons, abilities, all that jazz. We've raised a good chunk of funds for the Japats in the hospital, and this is important to me, and I'm really happy to be involved. Perfect. Yay. Done? Kind of everybody? Any last words before we shut things down?
Good gaming.
Yeah? Eric?
You're always welcome at the table.
Oh, you
Hey!
used the line.
You went there.
You did the line.
And and remember, you're always welcome at the table. Close. You're good stuff. And also, Caveman Gaming. Check it out. Right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Take care, everybody.
Thanks.
Good.
Cool. It'd be very helpful to Eric if you could use the F word as many times as possible.
Yeah.
Really?
No. Oh, the audience loves cursing. You know, that's
Yeah.
that's big with the kids nowadays. Yeah, if you play Fortnite, everybody's cursing.
If you Arcane Table, DMU, take what?
Arcane Table? Round
Yeah.
Table?
No, it's Arcane here. Arcane Table.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the name of the channel.
Sure it is.
DMU.
Okay.
Fuck, now we got it. You got it out? You
Yeah,
good?
oh, yeah, I'm good. I'm
Need a
good.
juice?
Fuck it, we'll
I-
do
you
it
Need a
live.
hug?